So what did we think of the round, fellas? It's a pretty good rounds so far.
Can't remember a thing. Well, it was the first game of the week. It was Carlton and Collingwood, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was a pretty good game. I remember watching it, actually.
Yeah. I remember seeing...
Carlton were a bit lacklustre. I probably thought they'd do a bit better.
Steele Sidebottom was incredible in that game, I reckon.
Yeah. I think he cleaned up the... I think he got a 5 on maybe everyone's voting for the player of the round.
Which is a nice segue into the fact where we announced we have a player of the round, player of the year award actually, that we just decided to do the other day. So I think we'll keep that going on Instagram rather than the podcast, because the podcast are going to be up a little bit slower than the actual the games are up. But yes, side bottom. I think we all gave a 5 votes out of 5, didn't we? Is that right? Actually, you're the one who records them.
Yes.
So was it everyone unanimously say side bottom was better?
I don't think I gave him a 5. I think I gave him the 4.
Actually, yes. Busher gave Stefan Martin the 5.
Yeah.
Which you could say is fair enough.
It's up to date, isn't it? Has everyone sent in their votes for this round?
So everyone's sent in their votes for the last 3 rounds.
Yeah. Yes.
We've got a clear leader at the moment, and that's Tom Mitchell. So he's tallied up 43 votes so far. Second is Lance Franklin on 20 votes, which shows the gap between that he's made between the rest of the competition. And coming in third after that big round is still side bottom.
Really? I guess because if you have one round where you get
5
votes from all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 19 votes for that round because I gave him the 4, you guys gave him the 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So, so there's not too many players that have actually featured in 2 weeks, but Buddy and Tom Mitchell are the only 2 players that have so far.
I was going to say, I think that's the difference. I think Franklin and Mitchell are probably close to the best 2 players so far. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I think Sidebottom's probably a bit lucky to be there, but we'll see how it pans out over the season. Tom Mitchell is just in a remarkable form. He's averaging 45 possessions a game. If he keeps this up, he will literally hit 1,000 possessions for the year. I don't think anyone's expecting him to hit 1,000, but
no, he's a freak. He has become more damaging, and he's also, if you look at his clearance numbers, they're up quite a bit on last year. So he's actually starting to do something with the football, which was a bit of a some people used it as a critique on him, which is probably fair enough.
I think he's definitely gone to another gear.
He has.
He's taken his game to the next level, I would say. I was looking at the stats earlier. He's first in disposals, obviously, but he's also leading in contested possessions and uncontested possessions. So he's winning it on the inside and the outside, and leads the league at inside 50s, and third in metres gained. And I think he's also leads the league in turnovers, but I think if you're having enough ball for 2 or 3 plays in a game, you can be forgiven for that. So just unbelievable effort, and he's come up against some reasonable midfield so far. Geelong, Collingwood and Richmond have been their first 3 games, so the Hawks looking pretty solid.
Yeah, no.
I've got a pretty good Tom Mitchell comparison I just thought of, actually. I don't know how familiar you guys are with basketball, but I'd say he's a bit of a Russell Westbrook type guy in terms of like that sort of stature, but just puts up ridiculous numbers.
Real inside mid type?
Well, he's sort of, but not really. But real, like, statistical monsters, even though you don't really talk about him as the best players in the league. And they do a bit. Russell Westbrook's sort of right on the outside looking in on that convo.
Yeah.
You'd say the same about that with the AFL, where it's like Fife, Dusty, Danger. Even Gaz, if you're Gaz diehard, some people still put him there. But
yeah.
I mean, he's got to do it for... He does have to do it for a full season. He's done it for 3 rounds so far. But for me, I still don't quite have him on that next level where I have the Dangerfields and Fifes yet. But if he keeps up this form, then he will undoubtedly be the best player this season.
Yeah, you have to say he's at least in the top 3, maybe top 2 Brownlow favourites, I think.
If I had to guess a leader right now, I'd pick him.
Yeah, I'd imagine he'd have 9 votes. They lost on the weekend, so maybe that will set him back a bit. But then again, every team except Port's lost the game so far. So,
and I don't think anyone from Richmond actually had a very big game. Martin was a bit quiet. Mitchell was still very strong in that game.
Yeah, was it 42 possessions and a goal or 40
Something like
possessions
that,
and a goal?
Just looking at the numbers here, it was 42 possessions, a goal, and 12 clearances.
There you
So
go.
that's still a mammoth game.
Yeah, they only lost by 14 points, so he could get 3 votes there.
8
yeah.
tackles,
He'd be
12
good for the
score
two,
involvements.
Let's put it that way. He'd be good for the two.
Yeah.
I think Franklin is another one who's... I mean, you don't see key forwards win the game ever.
He's
Sorry,
always
win the
top
round,
5 in votes, though, to be fair.
Yeah, he
He's
does
usually
poll
top five.
reasonably well for a key forward, but I
Yeah.
think he's a sneaky chance this year if he keeps it up. He's in as good as form as I think as I've ever seen him, to be honest. That 8 unbelievable goals against West Coast. Then I think he had 3 or 4 the second week, and then on the weekend he hit 22 possessions and 2 goals.
Yeah,
so.
the Coleman feels like it's already done, doesn't it? It already feels decided.
Oh, mind you, Lynch, is he even ahead of Lynch?
Yeah,
Lynch
well,
he'd be
Lynch
close.
got
Lynch
one
Lynch had
on
that
the
8-point
weekend.
game.
Okay, that's
yeah,
right. But Lynch
geez.
kicked 8 in round 2.
Yeah, but Buddy kicked 8 round 1.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still pretty close, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
I think
I think
Lynch
Buddy would be beating him.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so on to that point about how I said Port were the only undefeated team. I actually read on Big Footy, and I got to give the guy on Big Footy credit for this. His name's Grug.
I love those books.
Yeah. Those what?
Did you ever read those books?
What, no?
It was
Grug.
about a grass tree.
What's a
no.
grass tree?
It's a...
I know what a grass tree is, but I
yeah.
don't know what you're talking about, mate.
Sounds made
Okay.
up.
Well, look it up. It's a good book if you're ever looking for something to read.
We had to introduce our sponsors at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the heck were we doing there?
Bad time to take a long sip.
Yeah.
You guys just let that hang. Port Adelaide, only undefeated team. According to Grug on Big Footy, the first time since 1997 we've only had one team undefeated after 3 rounds, which suggests how even the season has been so far.
Yep.
And it's true. Every team has had a blip so far. Richmond's looked good in 2 out of 3 games. Adelaide's looked good out of 2 out of 3 games. And even Port, who are undefeated, nearly lost to Brisbane at home. So it goes to show how this season nobody's looked unflappable.
I was just going to say I was still a bit ropeable about that Brisbane loss because I chucked a cheeky 20 on him at $11.
Yeah, I remember you
The
saying
entire last minute of that game was in Brisbane's forward field. I was just sitting there at my phone screaming at it and they didn't kick a goal.
that would have been a huge win.
I was going to have a big night if that buddy came up.
Wait, how
I
much
was
was you
dragged
paying,
you to
sorry?
Metros that night, Josie. $11.
And how much did you put on? 10?
20.
Oh, 20.
So it'll
Oh,
be like
yeah.
220
$200 profit, yeah. That's not bad. Okay, so, well, I mean, looking at Port, top of the ladder, I think Adelaide are 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
I was thinking today, I wonder if we could have a season sort of like in 2015 where the WA teams, dominated fish first
With
and
the
second.
SA teams.
I wonder if the SA team, maybe not first and second. You have to say Richmond's probably still in the mix for the top 2, but I just get good vibes from this year. I think definitely both will be finalists.
I think, yes. I'm still not 100% sold on Port yet.
Yeah, you're not a huge Port fan, are you? Like their current.
I think they're good, but I don't know. I don't when they have a lot of players or some players out of form, I can see them dropping off quite a bit. I think they're a bit of a hype team at the moment, and I think it's easy to play well when you're a hype team. Like you said, they almost lost to Brisbane at home. So, yeah, I'm not completely sold on them yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to read a lot into their form. Obviously, they belted Fremantle, Adelaide Oval. Fremantle historically, obviously finished bottom 5 last year, but aren't like a good Adelaide Oval team. Round 2, then they beat Sydney really impressively, but they also did that last year and finished 5th and were knocked out first week of the finals. So, too early to tell, I guess. But the next 4, Essendon away, so Essendon in Melbourne, and you'd have to think that's a fairly good chance. Essendon seem to have absolutely collapsed since they beat Adelaide in round 1. I don't know what's happened there. And then they've got the Cats in Adelaide, North in Blundstone, and then West Coast in Perth. And you'd have to probably tip them favourites in all of those games.
Yeah, although there's still a few tough games in there. I'd honestly be surprised if they went through and won all of those.
Yeah, I know, yeah. But if they did, you'd have to say they were contenders.
Yeah, for sure.
7-0.
For sure.
And then...
if they're 7-0, they'll be the number 1 contender for
It'll
me.
be a big showdown if they get there, because that'll be the next round after that.
Yeah. No, it will be.
Well, back to Hawthorn for a second. What do you guys think of Alistair Clarkson's comments during the week about, I guess during last week, about the Joel Selwood high tackle stuff?
I thought they were pretty average, personally.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought they were really average for a coach. Like, don't get me wrong, I do get frustrated watching players when they duck like that. Like Selwood does. He does slip tackles. But, I mean, for him to come and say that after James Sicily has just kneed Selwood in the head, it's like... And Clarkson is talking about how Selwood shouldn't be ducking because it's, he's going to get hit in the head. I feel like it's, I don't know, a bit silly. It's like Clarkson should be sort of... If Clarkson's so worried about Selwood getting hit in the head, he should be looking at his own players and telling them not to go belting people behind the ball rather than worrying about Geelong players trying to slip out of tackles.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know he doesn't condone what Sicily did, I'm sure.
No.
I think it's bad timing because I think Selwood got that high tackle at a pretty critical point of the game, and he went back and had a shot. I actually can't remember if he kicked the goal, but I can imagine it'd be frustrating. But he to his credit, he actually acknowledged that Puopolo does it as well. Yeah. And he's like, if teams are going to do that, if the league is serious about head safety, they should really crack down on it harder. And the umpires have come out. So how many times have you heard the umpires come out and say, we're going to stop paying those high tackles?
Yeah.
It goes for about a week and then they go back to paying it again.
To be fair, it's such a hard one to umpire, I think, because you do have to award someone a kick if they get tackled high. So it's really, I don't know, it's not just black and white, that one. There's a lot of room for grey area.
I've even got a quote here from Brad Scott, actually, where he was actually countering his brother who was defending Joel Selwood in this situation.
Wait, sorry, Brad Scott?
Brad, the North Melbourne Scott.
Yeah, okay.
He was defending the Geelong Scott who was sticking up for Selwood, after Clarkson's comments.
Okay.
And he was disagreeing with his brother, sort of saying it is definitely a tactic and the competition guys use it. He said, however, Scott said that players who make the ball their priority need to be protected, adding, who'd be an umpire, tough gig. That's just sort of showing how...
Wow, when have you ever heard a Scott brother, talk about an umpire in a positive light like that?
Exactly, it's like, yeah.
But,
I think I'm in the minority here. Oh my God, this seat sounds terrible. I think I'm in the minority here where I actually think, they should just... I have no problem with them doing that high tackle stuff. Is this why you guys don't like Shuey?
It's a little bit. It's a piece of the pie.
Really? Yeah.
There's a player in every like Walters does it on the field. Lindsay Thomas does it. I think there was a few times Charlie Cameron was doing it at Adelaide. So there's a lot of players around the league that do it.
It looks bad when I say that I don't.
No, I just hate Luke Shuey for other reasons.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just because he's
that I won't go into.
Gross. I was just going to say, I know it looks bad because I'm an Eagles fan and I'm saying I don't mind them doing high tackles, but I've actually always thought that before. I think Joel Selwood was the first to do it, and then Scott Selwood, Shuey, Ashton Hams from the Eagles really started to ramp it up. But obviously I didn't mind when they did it. You don't want to see it decide a game, although when it happened against Port, I wasn't complaining. So.
Yeah. No,
I'm sure you weren't.
No, personally, I disagree. I wouldn't like to see it. I don't like players to do it, and I think it makes the job for the umpires very, very tough. But it's really hard to see what the solution is. I mean, I think it's so hard to tell players just not to do it. But back to the Shuey thing, we've actually got a podcast challenge for any of you kiddies out there. So if your parents are leaving the house, you go into the bathroom and write a candle and write 666 on the mirror in lipstick, and if you say Luke Shuey 3 times and close your eyes, see what happens. Yeah, you'll get high tackled by a demon.
What the hell was that?
That was a bit of a tangent, I gotta say.
It's Bloody Shuey. Haven't you ever heard of Bloody Shuey?
Bloody Shuey.
Should have brought this one up on the Conspiracies podcast.
Yeah, true.
As soon as you said podcast challenge, I was like, where the hell is this going?
Jesse's like, I didn't sanction this.
Yeah. Did we sign off on this?
Where was the paperwork for this?
Oh yeah. Okay. No. Well, the thing is the high tackle, right? I mean, you're just forcing a player to break the. Not forcing. You're influencing a player to break the rules. I mean, if the tackle is there, I mean, tackle has to be a little bit hard for him to be able to influence it. If you're actually tackling around the waist, then you.
Well,
you
I mean,
can't
if you
influence it.
tackle, if you got your hand at that level, I can still that what the big one is using their arm to lift
And then
it,
you sort of
Yeah.
and then the momentum of your arm carries forward and hits me in the head. So you can actually do it from quite a low height, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Chris Judd's chicken wings, mate.
Oh, yeah.
That was a different scenario, but yeah.
That was a more.
Completely different situation, but thought I'd say.
But the chicken wing to lift the arm up, boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the worst demonstration of a forced high tackle you'll ever see, but you're welcome.
Jody was a strange one. He was involved in a few weird incidents, wasn't he?
Yeah,
The
I
whole eye-gouging
wouldn't like to be on like the end of him if he snapped, like because he just seems like.
I thought we said no sexual jokes.
Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, I wouldn't like to be on the
End of him.
end of a Juddy psycho. I don't know. He just seems like the sort of guy when he snaps, he sort of loses it a bit.
Yeah.
Has a bit of a temper tantrum.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit creepy. Like the whole eye gouging thing. Twice in his career. And was there 2 chicken wings or was it just one?
I know that was the one big one.
Was that on
major.
Swallow?
I think Andrew Swallow.
Yeah.
Man, he's got some bad injuries from people. He also had Luke Hodge like just randomly punch him in the head for
Yeah.
no reason.
I wonder if he's just a bit of a talker on the field. I don't know.
No, I think maybe he's more of like a. I actually think it's just a coincidence, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Speaking of this sort of stuff, I've got something that's relevant to the last round. Biting. Conor McKenna.
Oh yeah, that is bloody weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who does he think he is? Luis Suarez or something?
Or Chris Maston.
Nobody
Oh,
does.
yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
That's
too.
right, Maston.
I think nobody's a bigger scumbag for that than Luis Suarez from Barcelona. Like he was.
Yeah.
He just took it to a new level. How many times did he do it?
He's done it quite a few
I
times.
want to say like 3+.
Yeah. I mean, there is a bit of a difference. Or, I don't know. The excuse people use is that he like grew up playing street football in Uruguay where like they will literally do anything just to get a kick of the ball. But no, he's
just
he's a
uncivilized.
scumbag.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But so is Maston.
Yeah. Well, no
Conor
argument
McKenna's
there.
alright though. He's alright.
Yeah, we'll give him a shot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess moving further down the list of things that happened in the round, I guess we should really be talking about Geelong in some detail because I think they're in a bit of strife now. They are really lucky not to be 0-3 because
Yep.
if Gorn hadn't missed that simple shot
Yeah.
in the final minute, they would be 0-3. And they've had the what do they call them? The Holy Trinity, Ablett, Selwood, Dangerfield. Played 2 games together,
Yep.
all 3 together, and lost both of them.
Yeah.
So looking very top heavy at the moment.
They are.
And obviously absolutely injury crippled.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Duncan's expected to come back, but now how long is Ablett out for?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest,
Yeah,
how
but-
long he's gone for, but yeah, I don't think. I mean, a lot of people when you say Ablett, Dangerfield, Selwood, it sounds so good, but you have to remember how old is Ablett now. He's been absolutely injury riddled for a number of years, so there's no way he was ever going to play 24 games or whatever.
No.
He was on the tear before he went down though. He was
yeah.
on an absolute tear.
But I mean, he's playing good footy.
Oh, I think whenever he's on the park, he'll play good footy,
Yeah.
but it's just, is he going to be fit? That's the problem with him. Selwood, he's probably dropped off a little bit in the last few years. Dangerfield, I mean, even he's injury prone as well. He's always going to miss a few games, especially, and the way he plays such an attacking football, can get suspended 1 or 2 times a season. So,
You got to be happy though. They've got to be happy with Tim Kelly.
yeah, they'd
I
be
think
stoked.
he's been an absolute awesome pickup.
Yep.
I think he's one of those rare waffle mature age players that are actually going to be good players at the next level.
Yeah,
I think they've had a bit of luck now with Menegola being another one who's obviously not a massive, he's not like a big primary mid or anything, but he's like a good sort of defensive forward midfielder rotation. And they're just getting the most out of him. Played really well against West Coast.
yeah. No, they got a great midfield. Even guys like Cam Guthrie, I mean, pretty useful guy. Would probably get a game in just about any other team.
He's probably out for a while too. Now.
Yeah,
I haven't looked
that's
at,
true.
I haven't looked at the injury updates, but
You wouldn't.
He didn't.
Yeah,
Look good.
yeah. So, and maybe this is an opportunity to give Constable a few games, and
I was going to
see how
say
he goes.
they. I think they're lucky they drafted well last year.
Yeah,
They obviously picked up Tim Kelly. Lockie Fogarty's also having a great first year
Yeah.
so far.
yeah,
I think it's just a matter of time before he gets a Rising Star nomination, probably within the next 3 weeks, probably.
yeah.
And then obviously Charlie Constable had a good pre-season and probably somewhat ready-made to come in.
Maybe slid a
Hopefully
bit in a lot of people's opinions as well.
Yeah.
He was potentially seen as a top 15 or something for a little while there.
I remember pumping him up considerably when we were doing the draft podcast.
I think you took him
remember
at pick 7 in your fandom draft.
Yeah, I was a big fan.
Yeah.
This was before the stuff about his cardio came out.
I think he ran like a
I was-
9-minute 3K.
I was a fan as well. I think I said I thought he'd be a good pick for West Coast, potentially at 13 or whatever.
9
it
on
was.
a 3K is good, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you mean 2K? Because 9
I
on
must
a 3K
have, yeah,
is
sorry,
good.
did I say 3K? Yeah, no, you're right.
9 on a 3K is real good.
Yeah, that is, that's pretty good. No, yeah, Constable, I would have been happy with him at West Coast too, but in the end, we would have had him at pick 32 if we wanted him and chose it Ainsworth instead. So.
Yeah.
But interesting times. I think they're in a good position they drafted well, because if they didn't have these kids now, you'd be thinking where to for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of the West Coast Geelong game, I kind of want to get on my soapbox about this bloody score review issue.
Yep.
I think it is the most pointless piece of technology I've ever seen in sport. Just for the sheer amount of times a decision gets reviewed and then they get the decision wrong.
For me, it's not the technology that's useless; it's the process and
Yeah,
the
okay,
way
fair
they're
enough.
using the technology. If the technology is used correctly, which it has been occasionally, it does work. It needs to be quick. I think is a massive thing.
Mm-hmm.
So. It's such a piece of technology made for the armchair viewer, but for people in the stadium, and for the players, I think it's horrible. You're getting players now that are having shots. It's going over the sort of in the vicinity over the point post. They're waiting to celebrate because they don't know if it's a goal or not, and it's going to have to go through a score review. I kind of think it's taken away from the live experience a little bit.
It's kind of like that in cricket as well.
Yeah,
with the DRS.
yep, a little bit like that in cricket. So yeah, I'm
know
not
you-
really loving it, but I think it would work if the processes got maybe a little bit more, a little bit quicker, and they just got more calls correct. I feel like they're still botching it a lot.
The thing is, you think you make a good point. It really slows the game down. But that's not even my issue. I think on a fundamental level, they're spending 5 minutes at a time to look at the decision, and they're getting them wrong.
Yeah.
I'd say it's like a 50 to 60% strike rate off the top of my head. That Chris Maston one, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Eagles fan, was an absolute disgrace.
Yeah.
You can see the freeze frame of how obvious it wasn't touched. Not only did the goal umpire review it, he actually his umpire's call was that it was a goal.
Yeah,
So obviously then
it needs significant evidence to be overturned.
exactly right.
Yeah,
I reckon it could have. He just must have pressed the wrong bloody button
it's
because that's how bad the decision was.
yeah. I can't understand that one. That
Yeah.
one's just
But I mean, as I said, it's just happening league wide, and I think you're right. The technology's not bad. It's the way it's been implemented,
Yeah.
and I think it's so bad the way they're using it. They might as well scrap it.
yeah.
The sport was better when they were going to umpire's call because the umpire in that situation got it right.
And also, I think it ties in a little bit to my thing I was saying last podcast where I was saying these field umpires getting a bit egomaniacal. Like a lot of the time they'll run in and call for a score review and
Yeah.
sufficiently clear cut.
I mean, we saw Ray Chamberlain. He had boots with his number on it on the game the other day, and he's giving away signed boots. Umpires are stars; they're really good guys. But for me, if you're an umpire, it has to be a background guy. The best umpires are the umpires you don't notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't know their name, they're usually not too bad.
Yeah, exactly. You just want an umpire to just be in the background, blow the whistle when it's there, and then that's it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. All right, boys. just on that note, I think it's time for mid-podcast break because the time is just about up.
Sounds good.
All right, back from the break. And I guess the first topic I want to talk about in the second half of this podcast is what the hell is happening at St Kilda. We've obviously seen them get belted in round 2 by North, almost literally doubled their score.
Yep.
And they only scored 43 for the game. And then against Adelaide, I mean, they can be forgiven for losing that one, but you have to say they're looking at some real strife.
Yeah, they're looking really average. I think something a lot of people have said about Saints, and I'm sort of agreeing with, is their lack of top-end talent is really hurting them. Jack Stephen, you'd have to say, is it for in terms of A-plus players. They've got Seb Ross, who's good, but if you compare Seb Ross to the number 1 ball-winning mids in every other team, he's not in the top.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, you can make the same criticism about a team like West Coast, but what West Coast have is one of the best key forwards in the game, and a ruckman who we'll get to it later.
And one of the best backs as well.
Yeah, exactly. Probably the best back line last year. Not so much this year, but yeah, obviously they have compensating aspects of their game, whereas St Kilda, I don't know if they really do, like you say. I think I really rate some of their kids they've drafted after 2013.
Yep.
So guys like Billings and Akers, I'm a big fan of.
Yep.
I still think McCartan's got a bit of promise about him. And then you got the newer guys, Hunter Clark and Caulfield. It's just that they're just a bit raw.
Interesting, I heard Lloyd say on the Sunday Footy Show he thinks the 3 tall forward line isn't working at the moment. So at the moment they're playing Bruce, Membry and McCartan deep, they're just not mobile enough. The zone of the defence of their opposition is just catching them out too easily.
Okay.
And then when you've got a tall forward line as well, it really hurts your forward pressure, so they can bring the ball up the field quite easily.
That's true.
And create really good scoring chains. So I think that maybe they might want to have a look at going a little bit smaller.
It's going to be forced this week. I think Membry's been ruled out for round 4.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean, he's probably the one I think you would withdraw from that forward line. I think Josh Bruce is more than capable. We've seen him have some decent games in the past. Obviously, we know how talented McCartan is. Yeah. Just yet to quite click it together, but you got to keep playing him because if he gets it together, he'll be very good.
Yeah, I mean, he's 21 years old. I'm sure he's not 22 yet. So
missed a fair bit of footy as well, I think.
Yep. No, definitely a promising play, and I think I can see the Saints being a good team in a few years. But I mean, this year I think they're currently in the bottom 4, and I could see that staying that way. Which would be a disastrous result for Alan Richardson. I think the pressure's starting to mount on him. He's been there since 2014 now, I think.
Yep.
Hasn't made the finals yet. Finished 9th and then 11th last year.
Yep.
And probably worse this year. So I wonder, he's probably on the short list of coaches you have to say on the chopping block if he finishes bottom 4.
Yeah, well, I can't think of anyone else that would probably be on the chopping block ahead of him. Maybe Buckley.
Yeah, I mean, Buckley, I think, can continue finishing 13th every year and he'll be fine.
He's got Eddie as well.
Yeah, well, he's just, that's it. Eddie Maguire obviously came out and backed him in. But they've got to do that to some extent.
Yeah,
because they just signed a 2-year contract with Buckley.
Yeah.
Inexplicably signed a 2-year contract with Buckley. So I guess they have to come out and show support. And
if Collingwood do come good under Buckley, like, Eddie Maguire will look like the biggest mastermind of all time, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
When you say come good, I think they're going to have to win a flag for it to justify it because they've just been so mediocre. And as I said, I'm going to do a video on it, analysing it, but they've made a lot of top-up moves for older players, Maine, Wells, Greenwood to some extent. You know,
for me, if you look at Collingwood's outs compared to their ins, they've lost more talent than they've gained.
Yeah, they've shed a lot of players.
Yeah.
They've had a couple of wins in Treloar and Adams, poaching them both from GWS, but for the most part, you're right. They've just bled players from that 2010 Premiership team. But anyway, what about? I think there's 2 other coaches. You might disagree with me on this, but I think behind Richardson and Buckley, I think Beveridge could start feeling the heat a little bit. I know he just won a premiership 2 years ago, but their fall from grace has been pretty severe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not
controversial selection. So even though he's not purely the selecting committee, he'd have a say, and there's been some controversial guys not getting games.
Yeah, there definitely has been. Guys like Caleb Daniels playing VFL every week. I think Mitch Wallace even.
Yeah, it shows something's wrong there when you're playing these talented players in the VFL. There's just something a bit rotten.
They've sort of lost the heart and soul a little bit. They lost the desire. If you look at the players running around, they just don't look hungry. So I think Beveridge has to do a little bit more to motivate the players to be interested into playing, because at the moment, they just don't seem interested.
It's tough for them because so many of the young players want a flag at 21 and 22. They've already achieved the ultimate dream. Like, what's the next for them? I mean,
another one.
Yeah. Well, that is a
did somebody just
an
drop
option.
their guts?
Pardon?
Was that you that dropped
It was
your
a
gut?
chair, mate, surely.
It was
was
the chair.
Okay.
Oh my god.
What do you mean? Oh my god! He goes another one, and then it's met by dead silence.
No, he meant another one.
Flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that now, but for about 3 startling seconds, I thought he just let rip.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Well, I like Beveridge, and I don't like sacking coaches when they don't necessarily deserve it. I don't like transient coaches. I like backing them in a bit, but I honestly think if the Dogs finish close to the bottom 4, which is possible at this early stage, then he could be another one to look at. And the other one is Brendan Bolton. I know.
That's a bit early in my opinion.
Very early.
I think he's doing a lot of good things at Carlton.
It's his 3rd year now.
Yeah.
And I think if he finishes bottom 4 again, then I mean they haven't won a game.
They're
yet.
playing good football though. I think
they're playing a lot better than they did. 2 years ago.
Yeah, they are.
I think they played well in round 1. That's probably about as far as I'd go.
No, I think they've made good recruitment decisions. I think the system they're playing, it's good, attractive football. I think they'll come good.
They just need a year or 2 for the talent to get to where it needs to be.
I agree.
Yeah, I do think they have good
with
talent.
upside.
I do think they have good talent, but at the same time, you do want to see linear improvement a little bit.
There has been,
I guess just not in wins and losses.
Yeah, just not in wins and exactly, but.
No, I don't. I think he's
look
pretty
better.
safe.
The way they eye test, they're a lot better.
I think he's pretty safe personally.
Yeah.
Maybe this year. I'm not completely convinced yet.
Okay.
But yeah, okay, I see your point. This year, you'd think, I don't know. If they win the spoon, who knows?
It's I don't
still
know.
get another year.
Personally, I think it actually comes down to more than wins and losses. For Carlton at the moment, obviously you don't want them to have like one win for the whole season. But I think the way they're playing, you can see that they have improved. Yeah,
I agree. It's more than wins and losses, but if they do win the spoon, they would have finished lower every season under Bolton.
Yeah.
But fair enough. Agree to disagree.
Shed a lot of older players as well, though.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Bryce Gibbs left as well.
Yeah,
Probably their best player.
Yeah. I do think they drafted well. Obviously, Pat Cripps was a sensational pick because, like Fife, I think he was sort of plucked a bit early and obviously turned out to be an amazing player.
Yep.
And then, Petrovsky, Seaton. They've got Harry Mackay in the wings developing as a key forward as well. Paddy Dow.
Really good young
Kerno,
backline, I
Wiedering.
think.
Yeah.
Marchbank, Plowman, and Wiedering.
Yeah. I think Wiedering's a little bit lost at the moment, though.
Yeah, see, he's a funny one for me. When I came in, I was actually really impressed. Saw him a few of his early games. I thought, wow, he looks like he's played 50 games already. But yeah, he's been a bit average this season so far. But
that happens, doesn't it? Especially with key position players. I think the improvement is not always going to be linear.
Yeah.
So I've got the faith he'll turn it around. He's just a little bit of struggle town at the moment.
Yeah.
And Liam Jones, I remember last year suddenly became one of the better key backs in the league, and then it just completely dropped off, and now he's back to normal.
Yeah, I was never really sold on that one personally.
Yeah. He's just playing good football. We can't deny that. But whether or not he was ever going to be an actual good player after that, I don't know.
Yeah.
How old is he now? He must be pretty old.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't really know. 26, 27.
Yeah, that's a bit of a off the head.
Feels
guess,
like
but-
he's been lucky if he's to be on the list for that long.
Yeah, true. I think he benefited from it. He was at the Bulldogs, wasn't he? And then they traded him to Carlton, who desperately needed a forward target. And,
Yeah.
Didn't work Well, speaking of Tassie boys, I know there's one boy that you want to talk about a bit on this podcast.
Brady Gray.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, you've had a few Tassie boys at Freo, haven't you?
Yeah, we have.
Mitch Robinson.
Crichton.
Future player.
Mitch
Crichton,
Robinson.
yeah.
Is Meek one or Dixon? Meek or Dixon, one of those guys?
Meek. Oh, no,
No, it's
Dixon, sorry.
It's Dixon.
yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a lot
Ricky
of Tassie.
Ponting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ricky Ponting gave us some good time in the forward 50 instead.
Yeah. We saw when Pearce wasn't fit, Fife came out and said, wait till he is. We saw when he wasn't fit, Lyon came out and said, wait till he is fit. And yeah, he's been amazing so far, considering he's missed 500 days worth.
Is that
of
right?
football.
Yeah, I don't think I expected him to come on so quick. I mean, how many games has he played? About 30?
Yes, I think about 40 or something like that.
Under 40.
I think under 40. Yeah.
But yeah, his athleticism is amazing for his size. That's where he's killing the big forwards at the moment. He keeps up with them on the ground so easily; they just can't get away from him. But I think he's being helped out big time by having a fully fit Hamling in the back line as well. So I think a lot of the times Hamling is really good at coming across and playing as that second man on the big forward. So I think it is a good team effort. The Dockers back line, for me, I know I'm a Dockers supporter, but I think it's gone from D grade to it's looking very good, like almost A grade. Yeah. I think in a few years, I mean, Luke Ryan, Nathan Wilson and Connor Blakely, they're great halfbacks right there. We've also got Griffin Logue, Ethan Hughes to come in who can really do a job, Michael Johnson, and then Hamling and Alex Pearce. I'm very, very happy with that, to be honest.
I think Pearce coming in really helps your structure. Now you've got two really good key backs. Obviously, Hamling kind of came into his own last year as well. I mean, we know he's a premiership player, but I think he took a while to find his feet at Fremantle and then sort of came home a bit strong. And then you got Brendan Cox as well to come in as a natural successor to Johnson if you were going to go with the 3 tall setup. So, definitely the personnel was starting to come together for Fremantle. Probably all over the ground, rather maybe not the forward line, but starting to come together.
I got to give a shout out as well to Luke Ryan. He was so good on the weekend against Gold Coast, and he had 100% disposal efficiency, over 20 disposals. So and I think that might actually be the second time this year he's had 100% disposal efficiency.
Yeah. I think he's definitely done it before.
In 3 games as well. That's pretty outstanding.
I think he was one of the best kicks of the draft when he was picked up by Fremantle. What was it, 2015?
Was he a rookie?
He was Coburg.
He was late national, I think. And he's mature age, so he's like 20 at the time. He was considered one of the best kicks in the draft.
Yeah, so no, I think we've got a really good pick with him. And Nathan Wilson already looks at home. I think he's really benefiting because he was really good friends with a lot of the guys already. So he's just kind of slotted in there. I know Stephen Hill's been playing about 50% back as well.
Yeah.
So it seems like they've been really emphasising on getting the ball into Wilson and Hill's hands as much as possible into the back line.
Launching the attacks as well.
Yeah.
It's becoming an important role in modern game footy. I think the Eagles are doing the same thing with Lewis Jetta, where he's another player that's really coming to his own as a unaccountable defender, as I call him.
Well, and Shannon Hearn's been a little bit almost revitalised this season in that role as well.
Yeah.
Brad Shepherd's played a really good game on the weekend. So
it's funny, Brad Shepherd, me and my old man were cursing about how badly he was playing, but it turns out we're the only ones who thought that because I went home and read online and everyone was saying he's best on ground, so I must have been misidentifying him.
Okay.
I think I just really remember a couple of turnovers at critical points of the game. But, no, I'm happy to go back on that one. Let's say we got that wrong. But getting back to Freo real quick, what were your general thoughts on the game in terms of performance of the team? Obviously, it was great to have Fife come back with 38 goals.
I barely noticed him dominate. I was there live, and I barely noticed how much of an impact he actually had until I actually.
Yeah.
I think you lose certain things when you're at the game, and you pick up other things. Like I think you can see the ball movement and the way the game plan's opening up when you're at the game, but you don't notice who's winning the inside ball as much, especially if you're sitting far away.
You do a bit, not obvious as much because you don't have the statistics being pumped on the tally every...
But also, the contest is far away and it's a scrap. Whereas on TV, you can see it enlarged. You can see.
You can look at the screen when it's one of those, though,
Yeah.
like in those congested situations.
Yeah.
Gets a good effect.
Yeah.
But I was noticing other guys more like Walters. I noticed.
Taberner?
Yeah, Taberner. I got to say, I will say, everyone knows how much I hate Matt Taberner. I always call him Turdiner or Taberner. I was actually referring to him as Tabs, somewhat affectionately at the game. I was like, yes, Tabs.
Tabba.
Yeah, it's like
Tabalenko.
the nicest thing I've ever said about him, honestly. Like, I was actually getting around him.
Yeah, he's starting to put some good form.
If he keeps this up, I might have to backflip on my stances against him. Like, consistent campaigning against him.
Yeah, and also I want to talk about giving another guy where credit's due is Daniel Pearce, who's gone back to the Waffle and last week had a 33 disposal game and had a 40 disposal game on the weekend for Peel. So whilst I don't love him and I beat him up a bit, it is good to see that he shows a bit of heart there.
Yeah.
And he's a lot of the time accused of not having any heart, but for him to go back and put a real solid performance together like that is, yeah.
Especially because it's one of those things you probably sort of, a part of him would know now he's been dropped, it's highly unlikely he'll get back inside. They'd rather play a youngie over him.
Yeah,
So
it's always good to see someone sort of fight against the, when everyone's hating on him. It's a little bit almost like the cricket scenario, just everyone online was bashing Pearce. So, yeah, he's come through and had a really good couple of games for Peels, but in saying that, please don't select him, Ross Lyon.
Select Darcy Tucker.
He's good, but not that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Darcy Tucker's actually playing alright, isn't he? For Peel.
Yeah, he has it. I think he had 34 disposals on the
Really?
weekend.
That's a lot. I mean, Peel are a good team, so...
Yeah.
Didn't they lose? I swore Peel lost the other week.
No, I feel like they beat
They lost
Swan
to Swan
District.
Districts. I think they lost to Swan
really?
Districts.
They played Swans.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're
They
right.
lost to
Swan
Swan
District's
Districts.
won.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I forgot about that. They are still a good team, but yeah you're right. So good signs from Freo.
Yeah.
2-1, and that's probably the first time for a while.
Undefeated at Optus Stadium, mate.
Yeah.
I know, for now.
Yeah.
The Fortress.
Oh.
The Fortress.
But going into Gold Coast, I don't know if they 100% brought their A game. They've never been a good travelling team. They haven't really been a good anything team, but I always felt like the game was comfortable, even when Gold Coast hit the lead for a front. I kind of, those games where you just like, I just feel like I know we're going to come back, and yeah, I was still pretty confident.
I was going to say for the parts of the game that I managed to catch, I thought Fremantle would seem like they were in control. Bailey Banfield did an absolute number on Aaron Hall, kept him for 5 possessions as well. And he's obviously a huge player for the Gold Coast, the midfield. Yeah,
big test for him this weekend, going on to probably Dylan Shield or someone like that. Or I noticed last weekend Swans tagged Whitfield and it paid massive dividends. The GWS couldn't set up any clean ball movement, so
I'd compare that to where they were like tagging Stephen Hill, where you could tag Stephen Hill out of a game and it'd really impact the opposition. You could say Whitfield's that sort of player, maybe.
Yeah, I think. Swans might have done the league a favour there, and maybe exposed a bit of a weakness. Put a lot of forward pressure on their half-back line.
Yeah.
But
already undermanned, aren't they? Their back line, the Giants.
We were saying that, but then they move Whitfield back there. They find a few good young players. Finlayson, and he's come in and had a great effect straight away. Heath Shaw's seemed to have, slotted back in very well. So, we say they're pretty depleted, but they're still all right.
Yeah, I know.
Last year, Shaw was probably third banana to Williams and Wilson.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Now he's number one, but if you sort of call Whitfield more of a everywhere or pure back,
Yeah.
Shaw's like probably the number one banana down there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is the number one banana in the fruit bowl.
Don't know why he's the banana as an analogy, but I'll go with it.
Yeah, I didn't notice it the first time, but now you're really ramming it home.
Mate.
But there was 2 games played at Optus Stadium, and I know you're keen to talk about the Eagles, how the Eagles went. So it was a tight game in segments. We saw Geelong come back. and they looked like they might run over the top of you for a little bit, but Eagles lasted a lot longer, and really Geelong just couldn't keep up with them in that final quarter.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bit of a nothing game, to be honest. We got the jump on them, and to the credit of our midfield, Shuey, Gaff, and Sheed were probably our three best players on the day, coming up against the Holy Trinity. But honestly, we really had everything go right.
Yep.
We couldn't have had anything go more right for us. Cockatoo got injured, Guthrie got injured, Duncan didn't fly, played no rucks.
Gaz played late.
I was going to say, and just when we got down to 15 points down, Gaz pinged a hammy, didn't take any part again. And I to be honest, I know we got the 4 points, but I think that was our worst performance of the season. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds a bit controversial, given we got that first half lead was impressive, but honestly,
blew it in less than a quarter.
We did, yeah, we blew it in less than a quarter, and I think any team would have beaten. Not any team, all but about 4 teams probably would have beaten Geelong on the day.
Yeah.
And you're right. The fact that we blew a 32-point lead in a quarter is extremely...
There was 6 minutes left in the third quarter by the time I was I was actually watching.
That's really bad. I think we've shown over the last few years we don't know how to arrest momentum when a team gets a run on, especially if they're generating it from their midfield. We saw Ablett and Dangerfield stand up, and admittedly they crushed teams. We're not the first team they've beaten, but it was really disappointing to see how meek we were when the going got tough. And everyone was pretty excited about the way we came back, but honestly, Geelong could not have collapsed any harder than they did. So, I mean, I don't want to be too negative on a win because, you just sound like a negative person, which I am. But honestly, I think there's not too much we can take out of that game. I think it says a lot more about where Geelong is at the moment with their injuries, and the fact that they nearly pinched that game. I think that's a great sign for their character. But, as I said, for the Eagles, I don't think they should be getting carried away.
It maybe does raise a few questions about the Eagles in terms that do the Eagles need Shuey and Gaff to have outstanding games to be in the contest? Do you think?
Yeah, possibly. Shuey had a real nothing game last week when we belted the Bulldogs. I actually think it's all Natanui, hey, because we won the hit-outs by 30. I think it was like 57 to 26 or something like that. Yep. And we only won the clearances by 1. Okay. I saw a stat today. So far this season, the differential for Natanui being on the field and Natanui not being on the field is 11 goals over the 3 games.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So when he's off the field, the Eagles are up by plus 57 or something like that, and we're down like minus 9 or something. I'm getting those numbers slightly wrong, but I think that just shows the influence that he has, especially now we don't have Pritis as a hard body in there.
Yeah.
And I think Shuey and Gaff, particularly Gaff this year, has probably been really good as an inside mid. He's pretty much playing just as an inside mid now.
Yeah.
And now it's given Masson a role, but we just rely too much on the first tier of the midfield. The second tier of the midfield, the Reddens and not Sheed. Sheed was probably close to BOG, but it's that second tier of the midfield I think is really quite poor.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed, because I haven't really been looking, if they've been Yoing in the back line or midfield.
Yo, I think, spent a bit of time in the back line because Duggan was laid out.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, he's a bit of a victim of his own versatility because he's been thrown around, and it's not fair on him because
he had a pretty poor game by his standards, didn't he?
He did, but honestly, I don't blame him. I think he had a defensive role on Dangerfield for periods, and he probably lost that battle. But still, I think when you're getting shuffled around every part of the ground, it's hard to excel.
Yeah.
Like, he's not playing as well as last year. To his credit, we put him on ball in the last quarter, and he was probably the reason we turned the tide.
Yep.
Again, as I said, Geelong were absolutely dead on their feet. I think Dangerfield stopped running with about 10 minutes to go. So,
okay.
So it's contextual, but...
Because I was going to say, I could make an argument for the Eagles where even though you say Gaff and Shuey, your best 2 players, Nick, Nat and Yo are probably your 2 most impactful in terms of getting wins on the board.
I think Natanui is by far the most
Nick,
important.
Nat, definitely, yeah.
Josh Kennedy...
And JK, obviously.
Yeah, I think the Eagles now... we've got a few more goal kickers, Liam Ryan and Jake Waterman played a sensational game. Now we've got a few more forward line options. We don't rely on JK that much, as much.
That's why I sort of was half like you can put JK in there.
Yeah.
I'd say Yo is more likely carry you to a win than.
Yeah,
JK
I mean, when he's
maybe.
playing well, I
Really?
don't think he had a big impact.
Actually, yeah, that's probably a rough call. Actually, now that I've came out of my mouth.
Yeah, I was going to say Nick and JK are the two
Yeah.
for me. And then Shuey's probably the next one after that. Just because we don't really have any other damaging mids.
I'd say when Yo's on song, he can be your most damaging player other than Nick.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about when JK's on song and he kicks
And
10
JK,
goals?
Yeah, JK.
Yeah, that's
obviously.
just, yeah.
But also,
JK's
so I don't know what he's going to be like when he comes back from injury. It's a couple of questions.
I think he'll be fine, eh?
Yeah.
I think
He's shown in the past he can do it.
Yeah, should have won the Coleman last year. He missed 5 weeks and then booted like 3 bags of 5 in a row or something
And then
like
Buddy
that.
just went nuts in the last game
Yeah.
and took it from him.
Yeah, bit lucky there, buddy. But I guess the main sour point from that game is that Liam Ryan is now out for 3 months.
Yeah.
So really a bit of a downer for the whole comp. I think everyone was sort of getting around him a bit. Maybe not Freo fans. No, but
Real
obviously
downer.
the media in particular are getting around Liam Ryan.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
great to see him really make it. I think he's a popular guy with the team as well. Luke Shuey's in particular very close with him. So
Oh, really?
yeah, they are surprising.
Why is that surprising?
Just because they come from such different backgrounds, don't they?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Liam
yeah.
Ryan's a Gero boy, and Shuey's just an extroverted guy. I think he's it's really
Private
shown.
school, real. Yeah.
Is he? Yeah, I think he is actually.
Real underworld sort of character.
Melbourne grammar. Ooh.
No. I think it's a really good reflection on Shuey actually, the way he's embraced taking on this guy. I mean, Liam Ryan was considered a bit of a risk picking him
Yeah.
up because whether his head was really in the game
Yeah.
for AFL, and I think it shows Shuey's leadership qualities. He's totally taken him under his wing,
I
and
wonder if the clubs had a word to him and asked him. I mean, I'm sure he's a lovely guy and would take the initiative himself anyway. But yeah, I do wonder if maybe someone at the club talked to him and said, "Yeah, take this guy under your wing, mentor him a bit," and he would be a great mentor because he's a great player.
I think Jeddah's doing the same thing. According to Liam Ryan, sort of took him under his wing. So, yeah, a bit of a project there for the Eagles, but it's paying off. He seems very well liked, and he's a great player already, Liam Ryan. So,
Yeah.
all right, boys. Before we wrap it up, I think we can have a quick look to this upcoming game. These upcoming games. Hopefully, this podcast will be uploaded before they start. Otherwise, we're going to look ridiculous. Game of the round.
Quick tips.
For the whole week.
Yeah, for the whole round.
I don't even know who.
So I'd have to look at the games, right?
Yeah, I don't have them in front of me. I was just going to say the game of the round is probably going to be Hawthorn Melbourne. I think Melbourne are in the top 4 at the moment.
Is it
They're
Hawks
four,
Melbourne or
Melbourne
Richmond Melbourne?
Hawks Melbourne.
It's Hawks,
Hawks Melbourne, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Melbourne 4, 4 and 8.
All right, boys. I'm going to run through the games and give me a tip. Adelaide, Collingwood.
Adelaide. Definitely.
Adelaide, it's in Adelaide.
Yeah, I'll go Adelaide. GWS, Fremantle.
Got to go G-Dubs, it's over there.
Yeah. Richmond, Brisbane. Got to go
Richmond.
Richmond.
Easy so far.
Richmond are 9th at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
Dogs, Sydney.
Sydney.
Swans, yeah.
Yeah, Swans. This is an interesting one. North Carlton. I think Carlton are going to get their first 4 on the board.
Yeah,
I
Carlton.
think North.
Okay, West Coast, Gold Coast. You'd probably go West Coast. Yep.
I'd say West Coast are the favourites, yeah.
Yeah.
Essendon, Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide.
Port.
That one's in Etihad, isn't it?
Actually,
Yeah, I'm tipping an upset for that one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
you're really
tipping-
not on the Port train, are you?
No, I just don't think they're the premiership team. I think they're 5, 6, 7.
also, just quickly, I was going to say the Gold Coast Suns were training down at my old amateur club yesterday. So
North Freo.
I might have to say they'll get the upset. Just
What's
because
that?
they don't get the
Fremantle Little Gymnasts Club.
Oh,
Is
mate.
that?
Gil Fraser, mate, the Gilf.
Oh, right.
The
The
Gilf.
Gilf. You love a Gilf, don't you, mate?
Oh, mate, I do love the Gilf.
Gee. Essendon, I was just going to say, they're an absolutely bipolar team.
Yeah.
If they play like they did against Adelaide, they'll definitely win against Port.
But you're going with Port?
Yeah,
Okay.
just the last 2 weeks from Essendon have been pretty average.
Yeah, this is the tough one. Hawks, Melbourne. I'll go Hawthorn.
Yeah, I think Hawthorn.
Melbourne.
Ooh.
I'm not quite convinced with Melbourne at the moment. I think we talked them up a bit pre-season, but they've kind of not really impressed me.
Still
They
2
haven't
and 1.
impressed me either, but
They
I'm
are,
still...
yeah. But I mean, haven't they beaten Brisbane and North?
Yeah, and just lost to Geelong.
Yeah. But I mean, as I said, I
Should have
personally
beaten
am
Geelong.
kind of a little bit off the Geelong train as well. So just at the moment,
I don't
I'm
know. I
sure
think they're
it's
one
still a
bad
bit-
kick away from being undefeated and being where Porter.
that's true. But again, just like look who they've played.
Yeah.
And I'm still not huge on Hawks yet. Like they're doing better, a lot better than I thought they would. I'll admit, but I still don't think they're a legitimate contender yet.
See, I think Melbourne deserve to be where they are. I'm not really knocking them, but I'm just saying I think Hawthorn are the stronger team.
Okay. And last one, Geelong St Kilda.
Geelong's going to smash that one, I reckon, just because it's at Simon Stadium down in the Cattery.
It's actually GMHBA Stadium now.
It's the same ground, is it?
Yeah, I think it's.
I think it is. I think it's down in Cardiff.
It's just called something else.
Yeah, right. Interesting. I don't know what the hell that means.
Yeah.
GMHBA.
Building company or some shit.
Yeah, shows how much we know about footy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. If you just saw Bush's mug for a whole minute, it's because the camera just turned off. Can we get through one episode where the camera doesn't turn off? Probably not. What were we talking about?
So I was just
Geelong and St Kilda.
Yeah, I just had a quick look at the injury list. It's like even bigger than I thought it was. Like
for who? Sorry.
Geelong.
Yeah,
Gaz Ablett now, Cockatoo, Mitchie Duncan still, Guthrie, Lockie Henderson, one that hasn't been mentioned as much. Harry Taylor. Yeah, who's a bit of a ledge.
Yeah, I think they might blow too many games at the start of the season, Geelong, to really be relevant. They might
do a Swans last year.
They could, yeah. I mean, it really comes down to if they play at the G in the finals. If they play at the G in the finals, you'd give them a chance.
No, mate, they'll get a bloody final at the Cardinia, or it'll be rigged if it's the Dockers or some West Coast team or something.
But they've got to
be sent to Geelong, mate.
They've got to earn a home final though. But they can play an away final against Richmond though, and they'd play that at the G. Mind you, you'd tip Richmond, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I think we've done this to death. I want to get home, edit this, go to sleep.
Yeah, mate.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, mate.
I was having fun.
Nah, it's not really my thing.
Yeah.
Nah. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. If you have watched it, and please hit like, comment, subscribe. Thank you.
See ya.